Good morning, everybody. Welcome to your Rangers Review morning briefing. It is Tuesday, the 24th of June. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this morning by Chris Jack. It seems that we're just off air, Chris, after being on last night, but we're back on with our green/blue screens behind us. How goes it?
Just about to say, a long time no see. I think I see more of you and Josh enjoying than I do my kids at times over the course of a week. But no, nice to be back on, and there's also plenty to get into once again.
Yep, absolutely is. Of course, it was the EGM yesterday. If you've not watched the video of myself and Chris last night, folks, do go check it out. We discussed yesterday's EGM and the press conference conducted by Andrew Cavenagh and Parag Marathe, which was very interesting indeed. As I mentioned, we've got our blue screens behind us. It's something new they're trying out here. Let us know if you like the background, folks, or if you prefer the previous backgrounds that we both have. I know it may split opinion, but there you go. Before we get stuck into the Rangers news, a quick word for our podcast sponsors, the great guys at Willows Fencing, the Glasgow-based fencing company you can trust, and proud partners of the Rangers Review. They've got over 20 years of experience and their unparalleled quality. Their qualified team is dedicated to keeping customers happy and providing exceptional work, aiming to deliver nothing but perfection in every job. They offer free consultations as well as a 10% discount with the code Rangers Review. Head over to Rangers Review, willows-fencing.com. Also head over to rangersreview.co.uk as well, of course. Right, where shall we start? We may have missed bits of yesterday. Just incidentally, we posted the Andrew Cavenagh piece from the press conference on the site yesterday. The Parag Marathe sit down is coming to you at 12 noon, Chris, isn't it? Was embargoed. What can people expect from that?
I can't give too much away, of course. You have to tune into the site later on. He touched on a various number of areas, a bit on his how he'll split his time between San Francisco, Yorkshire, and Glasgow. There was a wee bit more chat about the Ibrox redevelopment, and feeding into what the main theme of Andrew Cavenagh was yesterday in terms of being here to win, and why that's the main ambition. That's now they've not bought Rangers for financial gain. They bought Rangers to be successful. That was a real theme of what Andrew said at the EGM yesterday. What he said in his media interviews yesterday afternoon. And actually, I watched the RTV interview that they both did yesterday as well. Watched that this morning, and I think that gives people a real flavour of what these guys are like, what their intentions are, why they're here. So a bit more meat on the bones of Parag over the next few hours. So 12 o'clock for that. We've got a couple of breakout bits on the site. And the full Q&A will be available as well. So I'm doing the words, Josh is doing the socials. So that's the dream scenario for a Rangers Review Tuesday morning.
Yep. Do let us know in the comments, folks, if you were at the EGM yesterday or if you watched, as Chris says, at the Rangers TV interview. What did you make of both Parag Marathe and Andrew Cavenagh? They certainly came across as very confident individuals, certainly know their onions with regards to Rangers football and football business as well. You certainly have a feeling that the club is in capable hands, and very exciting for the future and what may lie ahead for Rangers as well. Blue Nose John touches on what Andrew Cavenagh said yesterday. The Castle of Ibrox has a nice ring to it. Yeah, I did say it was the castle. So I very much enjoyed hearing from them both yesterday. Prod says that both spoke really well. We say this all the time, don't we? They speak well at the initial, whether it's a manager or whatever, anyone associated with someone new coming to a football club. They always speak well. I don't know if I was on with you, Chris. I think it was with Johnny. I can't remember anyone that's came into a club and not spoken well. Off the top of your head, can you think of anyone?
In a position like that, it's probably
anywhere. Yeah,
it's probably been a while. I think people know what to to expect from these type of events. I think yesterday was the surprise for me. Yesterday was Andrew Cavenagh. He cracked a couple of jokes. He wasn't there to be funny, but he cracked a couple of one-liners. He showed a bit of personality. He showed people a side of him that they perhaps didn't expect or weren't expecting. I think they expect him to be very statesmanlike, very businesslike, and he was. Now, he ticked all the boxes in terms of how he presented himself and how he presented his vision for Rangers. There was a lot to like about the way that he conducted himself yesterday. Parag, I thought he was as expected. We've seen him speak. We've seen him do various interviews. You know, a guy that's got his background, that has got his track record. They are going to be polished operators in front of the cameras. So I thought the two of them came across really well yesterday. Not just in a business sense and in a more formal sense, but in a personable sense. After the press interviews were done yesterday, they spent 5-10 minutes just shaking hands and getting to know people and asking questions and telling stories and getting a bit of chat. So it wasn't a case of right, tapes off, right, let's go. They're straight out the door. I think they understand the benefits of relations. They understand that it's good to have good relations with the fans. Again, they mentioned that they have spoken to the fan advisory board. They've spoken to Club 1872. They've also done a bit of media stuff. Unfortunately, from our point of view, I don't think they'll do a whole lot of media stuff. I think Parag mentioned that in his RTV piece yesterday, along the lines of if the club is doing well and it's running properly, and the executive team that they put in place, if they're doing their jobs properly, you don't really need to hear from the chairman or the vice chairman, because it's other people on the ground that are doing it. But I thought they carried themselves well, and the reaction that we've seen on the show yesterday, on the show this morning, the social media reaction, it certainly shows that they've struck a chord with the Rangers fans. They liked what they saw, they liked what they heard. Ultimately, actions speak louder than words. If Rangers don't get off to a good start this season, if they lose the first couple of games out of the Champions League, you don't win the Old Firm game, then you know what their actions can be. You know what's going to come in that situation. But I think they're cool, they're calm, they're calculated. I don't think we saw the clinical side of them yesterday, but I think we certainly saw that they've got a real desire to turn Rangers into a better business and certainly a more successful football club.
Yep. Let's get to some of the comments coming in. Just harping back to the old backgrounds. Fiona says she loves the backgrounds. A good friend of the show as well, Adam Thornton, gets in touch and says it was redecorated. So good to see Adam tuning in. There's some that aren't quite as pleased about the change in background though. Drinks Whiskey says, business lads, missed the granny interiors, Derek. So he's not, I'm happy that the granny background has been boarded over, for want of a better word. Some interesting points as well coming in. Who has not spoken well when they've been introduced to the media and such like? I did touch on Stephen Presley on Friday, but Ali Filatelli says he didn't speak well at Dundee. I thought he actually... He did, to be fair. I think he's a very honest guy. He's a different sort of character, Stephen Presley. But that line about winning trophies, he's not your man, I think certainly gathered the headlines. I actually think he might do a decent job at Dundee next season. It will be interesting to see how he gets on there. Just moving on from that, your point there about Parag, I think it was himself when he talked about a honeymoon period. Shona with the point says, love that comment from Cavenagh, says it's about winning. The pressure is always there to win every match. It's to win. And Alan Wright just sort of echoes that. He says, interesting, no honeymoon period for the manager. It's win or you're out. You sort of touched on this yesterday, Chris. There will be a ruthless streak to these guys. If things aren't going well, they'll not be scared to pull the trigger or make a change for the betterment of the club, of course. But I thought that was interesting. No honeymoon period coming out of Parag's mouth. I don't think Listen, I don't think you do get that anyway. I think that given the appointment, and it wasn't really heralded a universally liked appointment as well. I said before, he's almost starting behind the 8 ball. Russell Martin, he has to win fans over. I don't think you get a honeymoon period, and given the fact that you've got huge matches on the horizon already, and the fact that the Rangers fans, not historically a patient bunch, you could say, he's got to win and win quickly.
He does, but that won't be a surprise to Russell Martin. I don't think he will wake up this morning and reading his papers or reading his Rangers Review website coverage and thinking, well,
No.
Parag said that. That's me under a wee bit of pressure now. He'd have been fully aware of what the size of the job is and the size of the task in hand. He knows he has to get off to a quick start. His appointment, as we touched on at the time, as you've said there, it was not universally approved. He starts almost on the back foot in some regards, which is perhaps unfair. Every manager deserves the chance to come in and put his style of play across, to build his squad, to try and make an impact. I think so far, when he's speaking about people saying the right things and coming across quite well, I think Russell Martin has come across well in his press interviews that he did a couple of weeks ago, and what he's done on Rangers TV. A wee bit of that was played at the EGM yesterday. I think he has spoken well, but again, he has to win matches. He has to get off to a quick start. We know the Champions League is going to be really difficult for them. There's a lot of work to be done before then. Will that work be done before then? Time will tell. I think it's going to be a really tough challenge for Rangers in the Champions League. But those first few domestic matches, they offer a chance to build a bit of momentum, to get some points on the board, and of course you then head into that Old Firm game, which will shape so much of the narrative early on. So I don't think Parag saying that yesterday will have come as any great shock to the Rangers staff, to the Rangers players, or to the Rangers fans. As I said right at the top of the show, these guys, they've put their money in, put a lot of money in. They're here to win. And if people are not holding up their end of the bargain, if people are not hitting the metrics that will allow Rangers to win, I don't think they'll be short in making those changes. But that's further down the line. Right now, it's a great opportunity for everyone here to come in, to get off to a positive start, to try and build that momentum, to try and build that feel-good factor, and that's certainly the focus for everyone right now. Having got the takeover done, having got the manager in, sporting director in, it's now all about the transfer window. What can Rangers do in the market to build a squad to allow them to go and hit those markers and achieve those ambitions?
Yes, well, let's talk transfers then, because of course, you reported at the tail end of last week. I'm sure it was. Chris said Max Aarons had agreed a loan deal to join Rangers for the season. A lot of talk now about Conor Coady could follow suit. Big centre half, of course, of Leicester City. Rangers very interested in him. 32. We've discussed him on various shows now. Conor Coady, I think, would be a good addition. If that materialises, we'll be looking to get some Leicester insight into him, just to get an idea of what we can expect. Do you expect that one to get over the line, Chris?
It sounds like it. I think this is one that Josh had on the site a fortnight or so ago, maybe. And he had nothing since then to put us off the idea of Conor Coady becoming a Rangers player. I've seen a wee bit of debate about, is he going to be physical enough? Is he going to be quick enough? Time will tell. I think a lot depends on who's going to be alongside him. You have to say he's certainly experienced enough, and if you're looking for a guy to come in and take a big dressing room presence as well, I think it's 10 England caps he's got, played in the Premier League for a number of years, played at some fairly big English clubs, not any clubs the size of Rangers, but he comes in with great experience, and I think he'll be a good guy to have in and around the dressing room. And of course, the most important thing, is he going to be a good guy to have on the pitch? And for me, I think he will be. I think he ticks a lot of boxes for Rangers in terms of what he can bring. They do need other defensive reinforcements that we've spoken a lot about, like Sir Robin Cropper, spoke a lot about Ben Davies. I don't see them having a part to play. Leon Balogun obviously having moved on. Rangers are short. They do need experience. They do need quality at centre half. So Conor Coady will not be the last centre half recruit over the course of this window. But it's all looking positive in terms of him actually becoming a Rangers player over the coming days.
Yep. The Max Aarons one, a few comments coming in. When do we expect that to sort of be confirmed? You'd imagine that'll be pretty soon, given the timeline when the deal was confirmed as being agreed. So I'd imagine it won't be too long before he's in the door, Chris. Other ones I know folk are mentioning that the lad Kwame Poku did say there is several clubs chasing him, a number of championship teams. QPR have seen that are really wanting this boy to join them at Loftus Road. I've said it before, it would be a bit of a coup if Rangers can get this boy in. He has plenty of options on the table. But what do you reckon about this one? Oh, we lost.
It seems to have not gone cold on this one. No, it seems to have gone a wee bit cold on Poku over the last few days. I think we mentioned middle of last week that there was a lot of championship interest in him, and that Rangers did have real competition in that race. So next few days, I think, will be quite telling on that one. Again, bigger issue, bigger picture. He's a player in an area of the pitch that Rangers need to strengthen. Now, you cannot play the Russell Martin style of football without potent wide players. You need guys that are going to contribute numbers. You need guys that are going to have goals and assists in them over the course of a season. Losing Cherney is a big blow. I think he said long before the end of the season we didn't expect him to be here. Obviously, he won't be here now, but I think we almost readied the fans for that reality. It was really, really unlikely that deal was going to be extended. But he has a big loss to Rangers because of what he brought to the squad and what he brought to the team. They have to find a way to replace him and find someone on the other side that can do the same job as well. So I do expect a couple of wide players to come in. If Poku is one of them, great. If it's not and Rangers miss out, then they will move on to their targets.
Yep. Let's get to some other points that are coming in. Kenneth Forrest says, we're going to talk about the goalkeeping situation. Well, let's just do that, shall we? First of all, we'll touch on reports here, and Ewan flags up and a few others. Any news on the Sheffield Wednesday goalkeeper coach Sal Bibbo? What a name that is, being in talks with us, Chris and Derek. So this was reported yesterday from Alex Miller, who works for the Daily Star down south. It covers Sheffield Wednesday in great detail, very close to events down there at Hillsborough. A bit of a mess, it's fair to say, down at Sheffield Wednesday. The staff and players haven't been paid for quite some time. Chansiri, the owner down there, is it's fair to say that the fans have had enough of his time at the club, and they're very much looking for new investment. And they're on a shaky nail down there, Sheffield Wednesday. But Sal Bibbo has been linked with a move to Rangers. Can't say I knew who he was before I seen that report, Chris. But he's someone certainly highly regarded down there at Sheffield Wednesday. And if you're not getting paid by your employers, you can understand why he's looking for a move elsewhere. He's previously been on the books, incidentally, of Arsenal and Brighton. 50 years of age, and highly respected there, but it looks like he's going to be moving on.
You've stolen my thunder there. That is all I know about this. All I know about this guy. Not a name that I was aware of until it got flagged up last night. It has to be said. It is one that's on my list of things to try and check out today. And if there's anything on that, we'll certainly get that on the site later on. But no, not something that we're aware of. But as always, we'll endeavour our best to try and get to the bottom of it. This point came up towards the middle of last week. I think people were asking about the goalie situation and certainly the goalkeeping coach situation. Obviously, a position that Rangers need to fill. Alan McGregor also having moved on as part of Barry's staff, and also Colin Stewart being removed from his position when Philippe Clement was sacked. So it's definitely a position that Rangers have to fill. It's not ideal not having a specialised keeper coach in there, so I'm sure that will be quite high on Russell Martin's list of things to do. I feel a lengthy list of things to do, it has to be said, but definitely one that we'll try and get on the case. If there's anything doing in that one, we'll have it on the site when we can.
Yeah, incidentally, I noticed yesterday Barnsley confirmed they've appointed a new goalie coach, and I never realised that Matt Gilks was there for sort of last few months of the season, and he has departed Barnsley. He is a class goalkeeper coach, I can say that with real confidence. He was at Bolton Wanderers for a number of years as well. James Trafford spoke very highly of Matt Gilks, so bring Gillo home is what I say if he is available. What a character he is. But yeah, interesting stuff. I think it is important Rangers get a goalie coach in soon, given the players are back training. It looks like, certainly by the images that I've seen yesterday on social media, Chris, Russell Martin was putting the players through their paces and then some. It looked like a pretty hard session. Pretty much what he said at the weekend, that he'll be looking to really run them and test them physically to begin with.
He's got a lot of work to do in a short space of time. He has to make as big an impact in these initial days as he possibly can. I think in an ideal world there would have been a couple of new faces in those videos yesterday rather than a number of familiar ones. But the signing situation is what the signing situation is. Players will be added. As we've touched on, we expect Max Aarons to bin soon. We expect Coady and Poku to bin soon. There will be others to follow them. And this pre-season, it's so important for Russell Martin when you're trying to implement that style of play, when you're trying to make the kind of impact that he's looking to make. The importance of pre-season cannot be downplayed. Now, of course, it comes, as we've discussed, with this time pressure of Champions League coming up, with the start of the league campaign coming up soon. But he has to try and make the most of the time that he has. I know people always quite enjoy these pre-season videos, the content that the club do. There's a lot of people always spend a lot of time watching bleep tests and watching some of the drills and seeing who the manager's talking to and who's standing themselves, and people perhaps read a wee bit too much into it. Every player will go through the same basic program over these next few days to try and see where they are in terms of their fitness and their levels. Guys have obviously done their own programs. I don't think there's many players that come in first day of pre-season having not kicked the ball or not pulled on a pair of boots over the course of the summer. People are doing like pre-season schedules more and more often these days. So I'm sure there is that core level will be there for the squad, and these next couple of weeks really give them a chance to try and build on that.
Yeah. You ever done a bleep test before, Chris?
Many years ago. Probably at high school was the last time that that we did one. I can't remember how far through I got. Not very. Put it that way.
Yeah, that's the same. I used to play boys club level at football. I'm sure we did a bit for pre-season. Not enjoyable whatsoever, but good thing is, Joshua told us yesterday, Tony Docherty said that Lyle Cameron completed the bleep test, which is the first guy I've ever heard about doing that. So there you go. Craig Gallagher says bleep tests are murder. Yeah, they absolutely are. But yeah, good fitness tool anyway to judge how fit you are. Anyway, moving on from that, a few comments coming in I wanted to address before we move on. Where are we here? This one I like. We've touched on this before. Given we are in the summer transfer window, we can look at potential incomings and who you would like to see at Ibrox. Blue Nose John, I'm not too sure if you've brought this up before, John, or someone else has, but he says, Derek Chris, would you like to see Joe Aribo come back? I think by all accounts, he's been told he can find a new club, so it looks like he could potentially be moving on from Southampton. I liked Big Joe when he was at Ibrox, Chris. A big fan of his. Yeah, I would have no issues with Joe Aribo coming back. I know there would be others that would say no, but you're a fan of Joe. Would you like to see him back at Ibrox one day?
Not really sure why people would say no. Not really that many. I can't see that many negatives to that particular deal. He's a guy who knows the club. He's a guy who has also been very successful at the club. He's a guy who fits into a Russell Martin style, and I think he should do. I think it's been a mixed style. It's been a mixed time down at Southampton for Joe. He left on a high, but it didn't really. It's not always worked down the road for him. It has to be said. It felt at the time perhaps wasn't the best move, and he could have perhaps made a better move than going to Southampton. So I think he had a bit of a mixed time under Russell Martin. But you look at a Russell Martin side and how we think he's going to play at Rangers, and you think, well, someone like Joe Aribo should certainly fit into that. Perhaps not always been the case. There's I know it's a name that has been discussed quite a lot on these on shows like ours and on social media, but nothing to suggest that that's a deal that's on the cards at present.
So there you go. Moving on, other news. Well, first of all, we'll address it. We touched on this yesterday on the show, but Robert Burns, good to see him coming back from the dead. It says Panathinaikos game being played at the Olympic Stadium. A huge bonus. The pitch is miles from the stands, which will be maybe half full. UEFA did confirm yesterday the dates. Ibrox game taking place on the 22nd of July. The return at the Olympic Stadium in Athens on the 30th of July. It's not that Panathinaikos is ramshackle of a ground, because it has to be refurbished. I think that gives Rangers a bit of an advantage going over there. I think it'll still be difficult. The heat will be a factor, of course, but given, well, we've seen it last season, Chris, when Rangers had to play at Hampden. Not ideal. You want to play at your home stadium, so that is surely a plus for Rangers.
It's certainly not a negative. It's certainly not something that you would say, well, no, that makes us
even harder.
Even harder. It's going to be a difficult tie regardless for Rangers. There's also still the heat and the travel to deal with as well. It's not going to be a straightforward. It's not going to be a straightforward night. And as you mentioned again yesterday, and as we touched on after the draw, the scheduling of these ties, don't really see the advantage to Rangers of being the seeded side here. If it had been reversed, I think that would make Rangers. It would give Rangers a bit more of an advantage in the tie. But as Robert says, they are not being at your home stadium. It might just be at this stage. See the small 1%, they can make a big difference. And if that small 1% can fall in Rangers' favour rather than Panathinaikos' favour, then that's also a good thing for Russell Martin.
Yep, when the tie comes around, folks, we'll get a Greek journalist on, and he'll give us some insight into Panathinaikos, what we can expect from them. Other news yesterday, you all have seen on the Rangers women's department that Joe Potter has departed. Curry gets in touch. He says, is there any details on Joe Potter leaving, compensation, etc.? Yes, so she has departed for an opportunity elsewhere, and Rangers would therefore be due compensation. Any details yet, Chris, where she could be off to and what that compensation could be?
No, I haven't heard. This was one that was actually broken by our own Stevie Clifford last night. He was first with this news on his social media platforms. He's also right across the women's game, and he's done a number of the women's games over the course of the season. So a nice story for him to have last night and to break last night. So fair play to Stevie for that one. But no details yet on what level of compensation Rangers will receive or where Joe's going. I think people saw that news last night and assumed that she'd been sacked, given that she's not won the title. As Sniper says there, she has had success. She has won cups, or both cups in both of her seasons. But when you're the Rangers manager, you're judged on winning leagues, whether that's the men's first team or the women's first team. That's your bread and butter. That's what you're there to do. I think she's been good overall for the women's side. Again, Andrew Cavenagh mentioned in the Club TV interview yesterday that they see real scope for the women's side, that they see real areas of that they can improve and they can go from strength to strength. So interested to see who they go for that role. Because obviously Malky Thompson did it at the outset. They then went through that recruitment process and decided to go for Joe. So do they see someone in the building who could take that job, or do they want to go back into the market and go through that process again? Not ideal timing wise, also given that their new season will start in the coming weeks as well, but a process that the Rangers will just have to work through, try and get that done as soon as they can, and then allow the new manager to go and build her squad for their new campaign as well.
Yep. Right, a couple of points before we wrap things up. Here's just on the upcoming friendly with Middlesbrough. Says brilliant by Middlesbrough supporters are bringing over 8,000 away supporters for our friendly. Yeah, I've seen that this tickets are selling like hotcakes. So it's going to be a cracking atmosphere at Ibrox for that friendly. That's the one on the just sandwiched in between the Panathinaikos games, I believe. It was Sunday the 26th, I think, Chris, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? So yeah, 2 p.m. kickoff, I think, that game. So yeah, Middlesbrough will bring up a good crowd, so it should be a cracking atmosphere. Love this as well. Andrew Bear says, I'll be in Lanzarote in the 22nd. Hope to watch the match at the Bluebells. He always tunes in, does Bluebells. So yeah, I'm sure that'll be a cracking evening. Let's just hope that Rangers do the business as well. Right, that will do us there. I don't think there's anything else to bring up for today. Thank you to you all for tuning in to the show as ever. It's greatly appreciated. Big thanks to Chris as well. He was working overtime and then some yesterday. Are you expecting it as a busy a day today, Chris, after you get the Parag Marathe stuff sorted?
A couple of bits of Parag have already been filed this morning. Already sorted. So now they're both done. I've got the Q&A to go and sort, and I've got a feature that will be on the site next week. I'm getting a bit of downtime next week, getting a couple of days off next week. But as always, I try and leave Josh a couple of bits just to keep him ticking over on the site. So there's a goalkeeper feature already in the can, and there's a midfielder one coming as well. So that's on the agenda for later. And as always, we'll see what the news agenda brings, and we'll see what the day brings in terms of ins and outs.
Yeah, Thomas says any more streams today? Who knows, Thomas, the way things are going these days. There may very well be, but nothing is planned at this point in time. As I mentioned, I'm hoping to get someone on Connor Coady to give us some insight into him. But yeah, that might be a day or two away, perhaps. But yeah, we'll get someone on that. Right, enjoy your Tuesday, whatever you are up to, and we'll speak to you again soon. Bye for now.